White House warns Starmer, stop threatening US tech companies' free speech. This week has been a bit of an emotional rollercoaster for every country involved in the Online Safety Act and its various protections. We've seen all sorts of statements made officially on behalf of countries from various politicians within various countries, whether that be Australia, whether that be United States, whether that be the UK. And we've even got to the point now where internally at the BBC, which obviously is a government-funded and government-owned media corporation site, people inside the BBC have voiced their own concerns about the issues with the Online Safety Act because it directly affects their ability to be seen and their articles to be seen, and also inhibits their distribution in every single facet. Well, despite Starmer and Trump having a meetup and things looking like they're going well, we could already sense that there was problems in the room. The conversation, of course, turned to censorship, and immediately Trump turned that whole conversation into about Truth Social, his own social media site.
To censor my site?
To censor your site.
You mean Truth? Truth Social?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone.
The thing is, in the UK, we've been told that this isn't censorship. The Online Safety Act isn't censorship. However, every single tech company, every other country, and every citizen of the UK knows it is. So it makes sense that the United States are a little bit concerned that they are now having to bend to the demands of the UK government for such a stupid law. Now, before we carry on, if you want to be able to access any news media site, if you want to access anything you want on the internet without having those pesky governments tracking everything you do and using your passport to charge you the tug tax, make sure you check out private internet access, that link below. It's a VPN and you get 4 months free and you get 86% off if you use my link, and it's probably the best way to support the channel at the moment. So yeah, go and check them out. And let's get back to the video. The White House has warned Sir Keir Starmer to stop threatening American tech companies amid mounting backlash over Britain's online safety law. Members of Donald Trump's administration are monitoring the Online Safety Act with great interest and concern, after key allies said it was censoring free speech and imposing unfair burdens on US businesses. Not just US businesses, every business. If you own a website like, I don't know, say if you sell vapes or you sell snooze, nicotine pouches, anything like that, you're now having to set up this whole age verification system, which costs money. Oh, and by the way, yes, some of the senior management at Yoti happen to be friends with some of the MPs. That's a separate video. I am working on it. I'm having to pay people to go through it to make sure legally it's sound, but there's a whole video coming on that. A whole video. But yeah, this is a burden to all businesses. This is a burden to every country, every business, every website, every citizen. This is a problem. The law that regulates online speech allows the British government to levy massive fines on companies like Apple, Truth Social, and X if it finds that the rules on hate speech have been broken. Those in the president's inner circle see the potential penalties as an unwarranted foreign intervention into American free speech. It is. President Trump has made it clear that free speech is one of our most cherished freedoms as Americans, a senior US State Department official told The Telegraph. Accordingly, we've taken decisive action against foreign actors who have engaged in extraterritorial censorship affecting our companies and fellow citizens. The warning to Sir Keir is the latest sign of Donald Trump's willingness to intervene in domestic British affairs amid a growing transatlantic rift over the protection of freedom of speech. During his meeting with the Prime Minister in Scotland, Mr. Trump warned Sir Keir not to censor his social media platform, Truth Social. And the direct quote is, well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I only say good things. Which, by the way, Trump, is part of the fucking problem. It doesn't matter whether you only say good things so you're not being censored. What matters is that it doesn't matter what you say, you shouldn't be censored. This is the double-edged sword of freedom of speech that a lot of people don't seem to understand. There's people out there with political opinions that I do not agree with at all. But what I do think is that they have the right to say those opinions, as I have the right to ridicule them. Freedom of speech works fairly all the way around. You say something that I don't agree with, or I say something that you don't agree with, you can ridicule me, I can ridicule you, and somewhere in the middle, social intervention happens and the truth comes out. But when we have the government being able to define things, for example, the term hate speech, which, by the way, hate speech is a crime in the UK. What is hate speech? Depends who you ask. And that's the problem. And we've been over this before on the channel. Subjectivity is the absolute Achilles heel of law, because one person might define hate speech as incitement to violence, telling people to go out there and do something horrific, which I do believe that if you have an audience of 1 million people and you go out there and encourage them to off someone, I believe that that should be something that should be investigated, and there should be a trial for that. And that should be, because you're not just exercising freedom of speech, you're encouraging people to commit an act which is illegal, which is a whole different thing from just the ability of saying, I don't like you. And this is the problem with hate speech in the UK. People have been charged under different things for hate speech when how do we know we're breaking the law when the law is defined at that moment by the person that was offended? I think a good example of this is Count Dankula. If you haven't followed Count Dankula's journey, which I'm sure hopefully you have, he obviously was looking at jail sentence for teaching his dog, his pug, to do a Nazi salute, which by the way, top tier meme, edgy, not jailable. And this is the problem with the UK. In America, freedom of speech and the First Amendment is held to a regard that every other law is secondary. And as much as America has its own issues, and I'd personally never want to live there, one of the biggest things that they've managed to get right is the foundations of democracy. I'm not saying that the execution is bang on every time, of course it isn't, but they have a set of rules, a set of amendments, a set of acts that they hold in a higher regard to anything else. And for them, it allows everything else to operate around that. Now, obviously those amendments can be changed, and the people that say that they can't be changed, it's called a fucking amendment. That is a change. But at the moment, they are valuing freedom of speech. And this is where it comes to my politics. In the UK, whichever party values freedom of speech above anything else, they'll get my vote. And the only reason I say that is because even if the rest of their policies are entirely shit, I can come on here and I can say that they're shit. I can say whatever I want and know that I won't end up in jail. Whereas with other parties, yes, they may save the kids or censor the internet. They may do things that maybe some people agree with, and they may get votes for doing that. But in the process, anything negative they do, if they make it a crime for you to criticize them for doing that, if they see that as hate speech or a deemable threat to the government by you saying that you do not like something that they've done, that can be a jailable offense. And that challenges the very definitions of democracy and freedoms in the country, which we have gone through evolutions of hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years to figure out how to get somewhat right. And in the past 15 to 20 years, we've managed to cock it all up. I'm sorry if this video is coming across as a bit of a rant, but this is something that I genuinely care about, because the foundation of everything that we know and love, and freedom of the press and the ability to say whatever the hell you want and still have social consequences, but not legal consequences, and they're very different things, are very important. I'm not saying that I should be able to say anything with no backlash. I think I should get backlash. If I say something that pisses you off in the comments, man, exercise your freedom of speech and you tell me why you're annoyed. Social consequences are fully fine. But the fact that we're going towards a system where there is legal consequences for simply having an opinion that might hurt someone's feelings, that is absolutely fucking insane. And part of the result of that is that we are now getting a watered down internet. And I would say that it's like the first step to whatever. It's not the first step. These steps have been taking place now for the best part of a decade, and shame on me, I didn't catch it sooner. I wasn't a YouTuber back then, and I've identified it, but only when they introduced the Online Safety Act did I realize that this shit is really kicking in. Everything else they've done has been a warning shot, an issue, something that we should be a little bit worried about. The Online Safety Act is the worst thing that they've done for freedom of speech in the UK, because yes, we should protect children, but the Act does not protect children. It's nothing to do with the protection of children at all. Period. End of discussion. I don't know, guys. I'm keen to hear what you think down below. I think that at the moment, the way it stands, companies like Apple, WhatsApp, and all these companies that are now fighting back against the UK are kind of our last hope. And, you know, fair play to Trump for standing up against the UK. But like he said, his biggest concern isn't about whether free speech is protected in the US. His biggest concern there was that his own site would get censored, and he thinks it won't get censored because he only says good things. Like, I don't give a shit what you say, whether it's good things, bad things, negative things, the worst things possible. There should not be censorship, point blank, at all. Thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you check out private internet access at the link below. It supports the channel, because sure as shit YouTube ain't. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.